I have been doing these similar computer technology related actions and things and activities for decades already 20, 30, even 35 years. I will be 41 years of age in November. This is October. Probably in under a month. I'm not sure what the date is today. I will have to check. Okay, today is Sunday. I have taken the bill to the city hall. In under a month, I will be 41 years old. I am middle-aged and I have been doing this command line interface and menu driven systems with the keyboard and the mouse and the windowing systems since the 1980s and 1990s. I remember when I ran into the early graphical user interfaces, probably in the late 1980s and 1990 and early 1990s, and there were such operating environments as Amiga Workbench and PC GeoWorks and Microsoft Windows 3.1, and then there were the command line interfaces like Amiga DOS and different versions of BASIC. Usually they were based on the Microsoft BASIC, and then there was the MS-DOS, like the MS-DOS 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 6.22. And I have been playing roguelike games probably from since the end of the 1980s. There were games like Hack and Omega and Eye of Larn, and there was Alphaman in the 1990s. It was a sci-fi game, and the other ones were like medieval role-playing games. And for decades I have been doing these same things. I have become hooked on the user interface that relies on a keyboard, a screen, a monitor, and a mouse, and that has a windowed system where there is one window for text and the other windows maybe for elements that can start different kinds of things like the ToneLib GFX that lets me play the electric guitar through the computer with different effects. And Omega is an old nostalgic trip to me, but I am a bit disappointed that it is no longer maintained actively, not since the late 1990s and early 2000s. And then there was the Bat multi-user dungeon that was started in, I think, in 1990 or 1991, and I became an active player in it probably in 1994, and I have played different characters in it, and that is one of the older games that is still maintained. The others are not actively maintained, and they are very much under-maintained. And there's a lot of text probably on my computer screen for the reason that I am a person who likes to read and write, and I like text. And if there are different windows of text, it is a good thing. I can copy paste and cut and paste, and I can do some coding, HTML, C++, Python. Haskell is not a favorite of mine. I think it is a bit ridiculous, but it is good for probably some scientific work in the academia, for some mathematics. And Java is something, I know the basics of Java, but I haven't become an active Java coder, probably because I do not see a reason to use it in the environments that I do computing in. I would probably program in Java if I programmed the Android system, but I am just a user of the Android cell phone that I am now videoing myself with. And the computer system is more like, it is a tower PC and a bit old, from 2013, K5130 ASUS PC, and it is something I program actively in, and I use Debian in it, the stable version 11 Bullseye. And I haven't found out anything really new that I deem necessary to actively participate in. I have found out that Facebook is something that I do not need anymore. But I thought maybe it is a good thing to have a Facebook in the case I need some advice from the Facebook police of Finland. I had already thought that I would leave the Facebook completely, like I would destroy the user name, but I changed my mind when I thought maybe I need the authorities sometimes. And I had left Google and Facebook, but I took Google back because I want to make videos in it, and I took Facebook back because of the Facebook police that I like to read, and sometimes I like to write to them where there is something shady going on online. And I haven't really found anything really satisfying, really new games or activities in the computing world. All of these things that I still do stem from the 1990s. And Linux is one of them. I used it in the 1990s, but it was an internet service provider, shell, a host, a server that I called, and then there was the shell, and I could change the shell. Sometimes I used AT&T, sometimes I used BSD, and sometimes I used Linux. And AT&T was Bell Labs Unix and BSD was Berkeley Standard Unix and Linux was GNU Linux. And I still play the guitar, the electric and the acoustic guitar like I do in the 1990s when I was still under 20 years of age, and I was a teenager in the 1990s, and I play the guitar and I use the computer like a desktop workstation computer, and because I am an old-fashioned user of computers, I like Debian Stable because that is the way I can use the text user interface properly. Thank you. Have a nice Sunday afternoon and evening.